In section 5.1, we're going to start by looking at a tiny bit of geometry. We'll start by first talking about what is called a ray. A ray has a starting point and continues on indefinitely in one direction. Then the idea is if we take two separate rays that actually contain the same starting point, so here's one ray, here's another, then the space in between them creates something new. It's called an angle. Now, an angle is this little space in the middle that that takes up that space, and we'll measure those in usually either what are called radians or degrees. We'll get there. You usually have a starting side, which is called your initial side, and an ending side, that's called your terminal side. So angles usually have a direction. That's why you see an arrow on them, in which case they normally go in reverse of what you would think counterclockwise. They usually go counterclockwise, which is, again, not what we're used to. So we need some terminology to start talking about angles. The first thing about angles is we're going to talk about them being in standard position. They're in standard position if the vertex is at the origin. That means we've got the starting point at the origin. And the initial side is starting at just the x-axis, like this. And it's also going to be in standard position. We're going to be working clockwise normally. If the angle is positive, it's going to be working in counterclockwise motion. So this angle is positive because we're actually going reverse of what you would think. Counterclockwise is a positive angle. However, a negative angle would still be starting at the x-axis, but a negative angle would be going in the reverse direction. It would be going in clockwise direction if it's negative. So that would give you a negative angle if you're going in clockwise. I know it's a little reverse of what you would expect, but that's just the way it goes. Continuing along, another word that you probably heard for a long time is acute angle. When I see the term acute angle, I think, oh, what a cute little angle. Meaning something that's little, something that's small, something that specifically has to be less than 90. Not equal to 90, but less than 90. And again, I think of that as a cute little angle. So this is something that's less than 90. What does a 90-degree angle look like? A 90-degree angle looks like just the first part of a clock, getting out to where you're looking at 15. So, and usually for 90 degrees, we put a little box there. We'll talk about that in a second. So, an obtuse angle, I always think of obtuse or huge or that kind of thing. An obtuse means something that's going to be bigger than 90. Not 90, but it has to be bigger than 90. So this is going to be bigger than 90. But it still has to be smaller than a straight line, which means less than 180. So it is bigger than 90, but it's also still smaller than 180. It can't be a straight line. And then we have another special angle called a 90-degree angle, which is going to be called a right angle. And almost always, not always, though, you'll see a little rectangle, or not a rectangle, excuse me, a square. And that always indicates, whenever you see one of those, that you have an exactly 90-degree angle. They won't always put one, but when they do mean that you have a 90-degree angle. When you have a straight line, you got to think about it as if you put together two what? Two 90-degree angles, which means 90 plus 90 is a total of 180. So a straight line or straight angle has 180 degrees because it's two 90s put together. Then what if you want to go around in what's called a full rotation, a full circle? Well, then you put together two straight lines. Well, each straight line would be 180, so 180, and then another 180, would be added together would be getting you a total of 360 for a full circle or a rotation. Basically, when you do a 180, you're going in the exact opposite direction. When you do a 360, you're going around a big circle and you're going to land exactly where you started. So 180 degrees is opposite direction. And 360 is a circle. You're basically starting right where you're ending right where you left off, where you started. You're going in a big circle. We will start to talk about quadrants. We always start where the X's and Y's are both positive first as our first quadrant. And then we work our way just like our angles counterclockwise. Quadrant 2 is then when your X's are negative, but your X's are negative, but your Y's are still positive. Then you keep on working your way counterclockwise to quadrant 3, and that's where both your X's and your Y's are both negative. Keep on going to the last quadrant here, and your last quadrant, quadrant 4, is where your X's are back to being positive, but your Y's are negative.